top stories. Police begin training persons for compliance and quarantine task force. Police accused of indiscriminate shooting at protesters in Guyana, and 500,000 evacuated from Oregon as fires engulf U.S. West Coast. Hello and welcome to the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Today is Friday, September 11th, 2020. I am your presenter, Shaira Flanders. Nationally, the police force is currently conducting a 2-week training course with close to 30 persons. These individuals will become part of the Compliance and Quarantine Task Force or be posted at approved quarantine sites as security personnel. The training began on September 7th and is being held at the Police Training School in collaboration with the Ministry of Health. Quarantine has been seen as an effective way to reduce the spread of the coronavirus in the Federation. As a result, in preparation for the reopening of the borders, the government has approved additional designated sites where persons will be quarantined after entering the Federation. The training is being facilitated by the instructors at the Police Training School and will cover the Quarantine Act, powers of observation, common law, statute law, customer service, disciplinary code, report writing, how to give evidence, mode of arrest, physical training, and powers of arrest. On Monday, Commandant of the Police Training School, Inspector Shauna Edwards, welcomed the trainees and implored them to prepare themselves mentally and physically in order to successfully complete the training. The police force continues to work closely with the National COVID-19 Task Force to prevent the spread of COVID-19 locally and enforce the safety protocols that have been implemented. In other news, St. Kitts is being featured in the summer series Hidden Gems on PBS. Travel personality and TV show host Peter Greenberg, also known as the Travel Detective, was recently on location in St. Kitts in January to film the episode. According to a release, from the bustling capital of Bastyr to Wingfield Estate and beyond, Greenberg reveals what makes St. Kitts a true hidden gem in the Caribbean. St. Kitts is featured in episode 7 of season 6. According to the show's website, the Hidden Gems of St. Kitts segment takes viewers off the beaten track to uncover what makes the island the quintessential Caribbean experience. The episode Hidden Gems of St. Kitts can be found on Peter Greenberg's YouTube channel, as is being aired on PBS. Defending champions Parsons Domino Club's chances of retaining the constituency number 7 Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris Domino League title were further dimmed Thursday evening, September 10th, during the 5th segment of play in the second round of the league's 25th edition. In the first round, they lost 5 games and finished in 8th position out of 14 teams. And in the second round, they have already lost 4 games, having won only 1. Meanwhile, in a game played on the grounds of the Tabernacle Police Station, were Christchurch Domino Club players captained by Zine Pension, who reaped maximum points from the game after they effortlessly upstaged Parsons from constituency number 6 with a score of 14-6. Also on Thursday, Lodge Domino Club defeated frontrunners Phillips's Domino Club 14-7 in a game played at Edgar Gilbert Sporting Complex Pavilion in Molyneux. Despite the loss, Phillips's are still at the top of the points table, but with only a point separating them from the second-placed Unity Domino Club, who on Thursday beat Sadler's Domino Club 13-7 in a game played at the Lodge Community Center in Lodge Project. Games continue on Sunday, September 13th. Tabernacle Police Station will be the venue for the Sadlers versus Mansion match, as well as the Christchurch versus Tabernacle games. The Edgar Gilbert Sporting Complex Pavilion in Molyneux will host the Unity versus Phillips's and Small Corner Bar versus Molyneux games, while Silvers versus Unstoppable, Parsons versus Giants, and Lodge versus Guinness will be played at Lodge Community Center in Lodge Project. All games start at 4 p.m. We move on to news on the regional scene in Guyana. There is now a national outcry over the slaying of 2 teen cousins at Berbice over the weekend. But in the height of protest, the joint services are being accused of shooting indiscriminately at protesters. More in this HGP TV News report.
As protest action continues countrywide over the barbaric killing of 2 teen cousins, whose mutilated bodies were found on a coconut farm at Cotton Tree, Berbice, residents, mainly from Berbice, are alleging that the police are firing tear gas and rubber bullets indiscriminately.
Now, we in support of them two children. They could have beat them and let them go along. Police shooting people. You understand me? All through the street, it's hitting a shoot Carol. It's true. They ain't supposed to happen, and the police chopping people.
TSU Davidson, right by the bus shed there. Right? This morning, he passed on the road this morning, he passing. I was there again. He said, he told the police soldier,
let's keep the social
he told the police the soldier, these people don't share stomachs in the area. What we got to do?
Nightly News visited the West Coast Berbice on Wednesday morning and observed that the joint services maintained a heavy presence along villages that are part of the protest action. The joint services in some areas managed to clear burning debris from the roadway as protest action intensifies.
Look, man, look, look, Ali. Telling you, this is what I gotta go do the x-ray to get these spirits out from me.
From where? From where?
Take your name and information, right? The telephone number and so on, so we can stay in touch with him. Look, you will cook all this ain't come out. Yeah. So I'm telling you, man, look, it's enough. Let me show you, enough, man. Let me show you. Look, all this in here, you know.
This is police harassment.
Yes, them TSU, man. Them TSU police. Them are shooting through the street.
Chief of Staff of the Ghana Defence Force and the Commissioner of Police Acting Nigel Hoppy led a team to the Berbice region on Wednesday morning. Commissioner of Police Nigel Hoppy was asked about the alleged indiscriminate use of tear gas and rubber bullets on protesters.
The truth is, as the Chief of Staff would have indicated, we recognize the constitutional rights of individuals for peaceful protest, but at the same time we just need to ensure that the roadways are clear for innocent passengers. The truth is that police would have exercised significant restraint in this regard, and at no time would they be encouraged to take excesses. So I'm certain that they would be exercising the restraints necessary.
For Chief of Staff Bess, his troops will use every lawful means to ensure that the roadways are cleared.
Our presence here is basically to ensure that persons in the environment understand that we are cognizant that everybody has a right to peacefully protest, and at the same time we want them to understand that we will take all legal actions to ensure that law and order is maintained in Guyana.
Meanwhile, several villages along the east coast of Demerara have also come out to protest the slaying of the Henry cousins. At Anns Grove, there was a standoff between police and protesters. Police demanded that the protesters clear the bridge. Several persons there were shot and injured.
Still on the regional scene, farmers in Antigua and Barbuda stand to benefit from training to combat the sweet potato weevil, which bore holes into the tubers, causing them to taste bad and rot quickly. More in this report from ABS News.
The sweet potato weevil is not new to Antigua and Barbuda, but the Agriculture Ministry is intensifying its response.
We are of the view that coming early next year, with the work of the ICA, institute, that we'll be doing a lot of work.
Alobanjo says the ministry is making it a priority to train farmers on how to handle this problem.
We intend to re-educate, to inform and train our farmers as to how we can use the pheromone. Pheromone is not a chemical product. Pheromone is it's a scent of, how will I explain it very simple? It's just like a scent of the female insect.
This is crucial to boost local production and thereby eliminate the need to return to imports of sweet potatoes. Alobanjo explains that it starts with the farming practices, which can reduce the effects of the weevil.
When I say cultural practices, you are even talking of your land preparation. You understanding me? And I've said to you, farmers are in the habit of using certain chemical, to stop the effect of this, attack from this potato weevil.
He says using soil management and this pheromone without the harsh chemicals can help alleviate the problem. Kim Emmanuel Baird reporting for ABS News.
On the international scene in the U.S., 500,000 people have been ordered to leave their homes in Oregon as wildfires continue to spread across the West Coast. At least 11 people have now been killed in several affected states. Al Jazeera's Patty Colhane reports.
San Francisco at dawn Thursday, an ominous sign of what the day would bring. Fires chewing through hectare after hectare, pushed by fast-moving winds, devouring the dry land in its path and destroying everything. Entire towns gone.
A horror. Horrible.
Terrible.
Absolutely terrible. You don't know whether your home's going to be there when you get back. We have animals that we couldn't bring with us that are cows.
Hopefully we have a place to live, because if our stuff burns down, that's it. I mean, I'm on a fixed income.
Millions told to be ready to flee, some making the narrowest of escapes.
I thought I was going to die. There was fire 360 degrees around me.
Among the dead, 2 found in a car that didn't make it through the wall of flames in Oregon, and a 1-year-old baby boy in Washington state.
Now, to put this in perspective, in the last 3 days, we have lost more acreage to fires than in any single entire year in the history of the state of Washington, except 2015.
Leaders are warning residents the death toll will surely climb. There are almost 100 fires burning throughout the West, the vast majority of them uncontained and growing.
The fires that are going on in the western United States right now are unprecedented, even to our most senior leadership and senior, most tenured people on incident management teams in this country. We have not seen this before.
Tens of millions of people impacted, even those far away. In Los Angeles, the pollution level reached a high not seen in 26 years. And by all indications, all of it is just going to continue to get worse in the coming days. Patty Colhane, Al Jazeera.
Relatives of missing children and survivors of rape in Mexico have occupied the offices of the National Human Rights Commission for more than a week. They say they will not move until authorities bring perpetrators to justice. Al Jazeera's Manuel Rapallo reports from Mexico City.
Protesters outside the offices of Mexico's National Human Rights Commission. They are survivors of gender violence and family members of missing persons who, with support from feminist activist groups, have moved into the building and taken over. They are protesting against the government, which they say has turned a blind eye to soaring rates of gender violence and other human rights abuses in the country. Mexico has close to 600 reported femicides so far this year, more than 75,000 missing persons, and a murder rate higher than at any other time in the country's history.
This action is different to others we've seen in the past, but I think it's a response from the thousands of victims who are waiting for an investigation from authorities into cases of disappearances, femicides, violence, torture, and many other human rights cases that remain in impunity.
Mexico's President Andrés Manuel López Obrador is often criticized for downplaying the issue of gender violence in particular. During a press conference this week, he scolded the activists for occupying the building in Mexico City's historic center and vandalizing portraits of Mexican heroes housed in the offices.
I respect all demonstrations, but I do not agree with violence or vandalism. I do not agree with what they have done to the painting of Francisco y Madero.
Protester Erika Martinez says her 7-year-old daughter is a survivor of sexual assault.
We've been talking about what the president said in that video. My daughter has asked me, how is it possible the president can be outraged over a painting, but not outraged when a girl is raped?
She tells us she and other women here are tired of demanding action from authorities on matters of gender violence. The protesters say they have no intention of relinquishing control of the building, adding that they intend to raise funds to transport abuse survivors to the building and transform it into a shelter. Mexico's National Human Rights Commission have expressed their concern over the safety of sensitive case files housed inside the government offices, but have not commented on any potential plan to forcibly remove protesters from the building. The leadership of the National Human Rights Commission has frequently been the target of criticism by relatives of missing children and domestic violence survivors, who say the commission is more focused on slashing budgets than pursuing investigations. Manuel Rapalo, Al Jazeera, Mexico City.
And just in, the 18th Annual Sanitation Workers Appreciation Day will be celebrated this Sunday, September 13th, 2020. The service takes place at the Apostolic Faith Church, number 14, St. Johnson Avenue at 10 a.m. Prime Minister Dr. The Honorable Timothy Harris will be the featured speaker. A luncheon immediately follows. A statement released on Friday said, quote, "Due to the coronavirus pandemic, workers are not invited to the church service. The workers are, however, encouraged to tune into the service live on radio and Facebook," end quote. The theme for this year is Basic Hygiene and Good Sanitation, the cure for the COVID-19 virus. And now for the weather. Present weather is partly cloudy with a light breeze of 9 miles per hour from the south-southeast. Today's temperature will peak at 27 degrees Celsius. That's 81 degrees Fahrenheit. Seas are reaching 5 to 6 feet. A high surf advisory is in effect for these waters. Expect fair to partly cloudy skies with a slight chance of showers tonight. Sunset today will be at 6:17 p.m. and the sun is expected to rise tomorrow at 5:58 a.m. And that brings us to the end of the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Join us for these stories and more in detail. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm your presenter, Shaira Flanders. Have a good one.